swear as I've gotten older, there's just certain words my mouth has decided it's not going to say anymore. Does that happen to anyone else? Initiated.
Like fun.
I can say that one just fine. We're live. We're live. I need to get that soundbite from that Frankenstein movie where he goes, "It's alive." I'm sure you know.
You should get the one that goes.
I don't know if people would listen to that one. Doesn't really communicate anything. All right, ready?
All-time favorite.
Sounds like an El Caney answer to one of our questions. Look at him doing the Arizona squint over there.
Sorry, yeah, what?
Trying to look like who's that 50s or 60s movie icon, James Dean? That's the face that you're making right now. Hey everyone, let's see here what we got here. Hugh. Oh my dear goodness. Hugh spells his name H-U-W. Is that Hugh or is that huh? Shout out to Hugh Rollins for for being different, making his mark. He has a jolly old hello. We're just hanging out, waiting for everyone to join here. We'll start momentarily. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Oh my goodness. You guys have both gone into complete zombie mode. What is going on over there, Lewis?
Can't type and talk at the same time.
Is that what you're doing? I thought you were just going to retweet me.
Well, and then sorry.
And Leander, what's your excuse?
Oh, sorry, texting my daughter.
See, can't type and talk. It's because the talking's so good. That's why.
Oh boy, look at that Cultimac retweet.
Oh man.
Get ready for the Twitter followers to begin. They're going to be rolling in any minute.
Bang.
All right. It's Welsh. Oh, he says, Hugh Rowland says it's Welsh for Hugh. Well, there you go. I had no idea that the Welsh spelled Hugh H-U-W. Let's see here. We got Chase McClain. God, that's such a bad Hans Gruber. McClain. Shout out to Chase McClain. Chase McClain, one of our reliable first joiners, as I've dubbed them. Hey, Lewis, I really like that mug that you're drinking out of right there. Is that a Walking Dead mug?
It's still the, I think I had this before, right? It's
Did you? Yeah, it's kind of ringing a
bell. Pepcom horror night.
Wait, you're kidding me? That's from
holiday preview.
That's from Pepcom?
Yeah, every year, back when Pepcom had live events, they'd have a little, a themed thing. And one year it was around Halloween, and it was all zombies. And
yeah, so Pepcom was a event that they would have.
It is.
Is it still ongoing? Is it Pepcom?
A virtual one. They had a virtual one.
Okay, yeah, same thing.
Pepcom is just an event where they bring in journalists to check out vendors' latest items. It's like usually before, like they have a thing right before the holidays usually, but of course these have all been shut down now for a year, virtual and whatever. So
do they have Pepcoms at events other than CES? Because they used to just have them. So a lot of people don't realize, like, at CES, there's all these other events inside of CES. So you'd go to CES, and it's like, there's Pepcom, and there's this, and there's that, and there's all these smaller conventions because they figure everyone's there already, so they might as well have their own convention, draw some people in. So do they have Pepcom events outside of CES?
Yeah, that's what, this thing what do they call it? The holiday preview. Yeah, they have one every year, like in the fall.
Cool. That's a very cool mug.
It's a great way to go and actually, you meet people that you talk to in emails all the time. You finally see them in person. You get to see some products you never heard of. There's always some, real oddball stuff too that you would have never heard of in 1,000 years. But like, what was it? I can't remember. There was something really bizarre last time.
The pancake slapper or something.
Yeah. I know that there was some kind of. They did have a bidet. I was.
Oh, dude! Don't even get me started on bidets.
Yeah.
Bidet all day. That's what I say. Sometimes I just sit there and let the water go, just for that refreshed feeling. You know what I'm saying?
It's just like going to a national park, right? Very refreshing.
It's sitting on a geyser. I love my bidet. So it just feels nice to sit there and just turn on the water and just let it spritz you a little bit. But for mine, you got to be careful because it's connected directly to my water, and there's no pressure reducer or anything. And so when you turn it on, you got to turn it on like at the very lowest level, because that thing is literally like a freaking fire hose. If you turn that thing on, you will be like a water fountain. There will be water coming out of your mouth. I have never turned it on past 10%, maybe, because it's just like a cheap one, right? So there's no fancy apparatus in there to control the temperature or the pressure. And I've got some serious bung injuries from that thing before. Like, you'll accidentally turn it on, and it just shoots a water, and it stings. It's like getting hit with a BB right in your bung zone, you know?
Might want to consider an upgrade.
Well, I was actually a little worried that because my kids don't use it at all, which is kind of surprising considering the fact that it's there. It has all these knobs all over it. And sometimes they do turn the knobs, but they've never turned on the actual turn on the water knob. And if they weren't on that thing and they turned it on, the freaking water from the bidet would literally shoot out of the toilet and hit the ceiling. It is that powerful. And then they wouldn't know how to turn it off, right? They'd probably be terrified. So they just run. Meanwhile, my toilet is shooting a stream of water at like 150 miles per hour up at the ceiling. And that's never happened before, surprisingly.
Yeah. Jeez.
But, like a good Japanese-made bidet, they're like $300-$400. I don't want to spend that kind of money on a bidet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stick with the $23 one and risk injury.
Well, the nice thing about the $30 one that we have is if you really want a deep bung cleansing, you can get that if you turn it up, and then you've got to position yourself just right,
It's not the kind of injury you want to go to the emergency room for.
What happened? Water laceration in my bung zone. We're going to need you to spread eagle right away, sir. All right. Let's hear. We got some people here. Shout out to Corsair Maverick. We all know that you're live broadcasting from new iMacs. Well, no comment. Pay no attention to the detritus behind me. I'm coming to you live from my dumpster outside my home. Let's see here. Etienne Novsky. I really need to bring this closer to my face. OMG, this is weird. This is my first time seeing all your faces, and all you're doing is talking about bidets. You've not seen our faces before? Lucky you.
Real sorry about that.
Yeah, Sadiq Iqbal says, hello! Love a remix. Hola, gents, and Dorky Khan. Hello, sexy. I'm going to presume that you're talking to me. Hello. Hello. Okay, so we're getting ready to begin here. We're going to do the show. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. Mac news all over the place. And let's see here. What else do we got? Oh, some interesting Spotify/Apple Music information that you all might be interested to hear. And, oh, man, I was going to add a Movie Pass story in here. Maybe I'll do it next show. There is a Movie Pass story out that just came out that I just tweeted about. So, actually, we won't talk about it today. If you want to check it out, go to twitter.com/Airfon, ERFON. You can check out that story. Movie Pass. It's the story we've all been waiting for. Here it comes. All right. If we're ready to go, let's go ahead and get the show rolling here. Let me see if Mrs. D is ready. Mrs. D? Oh, hello. Are you ready to go? Oh, I surely am, love. Okay, because we're ready to start the show, and we can't do it without you. Okay, well, I've got my face mask on, but I'm ready to go. All right. Well, let's cue the music here, Mrs. D. And let's get this thing rolling. Hello, and welcome to the Wholecast, the best 30-plus minute album conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Airfon Elijah. Joining me today, little known fact, he's been barred from entering Apple campus, not because of his penchant for scuffles and love of illicit substances, but for his repeated instances of streaking and pressing his bare buttocks against the spaceship's outer glass. Then there was that episode where it was cold outside and his cheeks got stuck. Security had to come with warm water. He's the founder of Cultimac. Leander Caney is here. Also with us. If he catches mistakes in your Cultimac story, get ready, because when he's done editing your piece, he's going to come to edit your face with the back of his hand. He's Cult of Max fair but aggressive managing editor. Lewis Wallace is here.
So it's great. What is that the
Yeah,
is that the editing technique?
that's the editing technique. We just call it the technique right there. Once they get one of these, what is it that is so funny about the backhanded slap? It's like the forward one is just an insult, but when someone hits you with the backhand, when they bring it back, they take you there and they bring it back. There's something about that that's actually comical. I don't know what it is. I mean, not if it happened to me.
Right.
You know,
If you're the slapper, not the slappy.
it's only funny if you're the slap or if you're delving out the slap or you've witnessed the slap, but never if you're receiving it. All right, so here we go, guys. We got a ton of stuff to talk about today. So much Mac news. Is anyone excited about the Mac? I am excited about the Mac. And I love it when these stories come up. We got a ton of stuff here. We have potentially a whole line of new iMacs that are going to take a whole new form with multiple different colors, which I know that Lewis is very excited about. So we'll talk about those. We got some renders to show you. We also have some Mac Pro Mini, or is it Mac Mini Pro? Here's a joke for you, Lewis. What's the difference between a Mac Pro Mini and a Mac Mini Pro?
I don't know. What is the difference between a Mac Pro Mini and a Mac Mini Pro?
Oh, only about $5,000. So I'm hoping this is going to be a Mac Mini Pro. Imagine that, right? So it has
There's no
some.
way.
You don't think so? I don't
No,
know.
it's Mac Pro Mini.
I don't know. Let's check out the story.
They
'cause-
want that. Tim wants that for extra 5K.
Well, that is a good point. Yeah, you might be right about that. So apparently Apple is working on a Mac Pro Mini or a Mac Mini Pro. You'll see we have some renders to show you here as well. And it looks reminiscent of a Mac from the past. And I'm hoping it's a Mac Mini Pro because that means it will be less expensive. But with more Pro internals, that would be a computer I would be highly interested in. So we'll talk about that. We've got some really fabulous new features coming to the MacBook Pro. We also have some MacBook Pro developments to talk about. So if you're excited about that, you're going to be very excited about this story. And then we're going to wrap up with a little discussion about some new features they're bringing to Spotify, which I called this. I made a video on my YouTube channel about how the AirPods Pro, or the AirPods Max, alluded to the fact that Apple was going to be adding some Pro features to their Apple Music service. I think this is the beginning. Spotify is going to do it first, and then I think Apple Music is going to do it next. Do what? You'll have to stay tuned, and I'll tell you. Let's see here. Before we dive in, Lewis, are you doing the Cult of Mac store promotion? I mean, I could give it to Leander, but he'll just send it back to you. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are we supposed to say here?
I don't know. Come up with something quick.
Magsafe accessories in there now. We got a new thing from 12 South called the Park Slope, which is a MacBook and/or iPad stand. If you're not familiar with the Cult of Mac store, you can find it at store.cultofmac.com. It's just jam-packed with all kinds of stuff. It used to be that it was mostly just Apple Watch stuff, but we've actually expanded in the past year or so. We've got a lot of iPhone accessories, MacBook accessories, all kinds of accessories for all of your Apple gear. And I believe we have a special discount code for Cultcast listeners, right? If you go in there, you get 10% off if you enter the code. You're not going to believe this. Cultcast.
Good one.
That was a pretty mysterious code, wasn't it?
At checkout, right?
Yeah, I check out. Yeah, 10% off your order.
Yeah, you guys have all sorts of cool stuff in here.
Isn't that how you always do codes? I mean,
yeah, you know, so that people can remember it and get a nice little discount right here. And the one thing that I would mention is the store is curated, so it's all good stuff that we like, stuff that you'll actually enjoy using. It's not a bunch of cheap garbage. So high quality stuff for really great prices. And then you get 10% off. So store.cultofmac.com. Store.cultofmac.com. Okay. Moving on.
We do need a jingle.
You could use a jingle.
Jingle.
I feel like jingles really work.
I love jingles.
I do too. We should write a Cult of Mac store jingle right now. We could harmonize something, Lewis.
Yeah, I think maybe we should record it. And,
Okay. Well, let's work on it afterwards. As long as we get Leander as part of that 3-part harmony. We need some of that succulent British harmony to really round it out. You know what I
a
mean?
little bit of rasp.
We could do like
exactly.
a
My voice is horrible.
come on. You could do one single note. If we give you a note, you could definitely do it.
It'll be an off note. I'll bunkle it.
Come. Well, that would still make it memorable. It doesn't matter if it's good. You just want it to be memorable, right? That's the key.
Yeah, infectious.
Infectious. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and roll on to this first story. Lewis, let's talk about these upcoming iMacs. I think we kind of alluded to these changes in previous shows. We kind of knew the form factor was going to change, and we knew kind of what it was going to look like. But the color thing, I got to say, is kind of a weird one, if I'm being honest. So go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so this year the excuse me, the iMac could bring back multiple colors. This comes from our favorite Apple leaker, John Prosser, who shared some renders of this supposed iMac design. And visually, it looks a lot like the Pro Display XDR, the $5,000 display that no one can afford, with a hint of iPad Pro. And the big difference is that it's going to come in a range of colors, supposedly. And this is the first time that it's been colorful release since the late 1990s with remember those iMac G3s? Who could forget them, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Prosser shared a render of this and said that it would come in black, white, green, blue, and rose gold. Same color options as the iPad Air that just came out not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Prosser did say these are prototypes, meaning Apple could ultimately change the lineup of colors. And also in his render, he has some, like the ports on the back of it. That's just basically the same as what's on the regular iMac right now. So he's not exactly sure what the I/O situation is going to be. But anyway, we're not exactly sure when this thing's going to ship, but supposedly later this year.
Now, what do you think about these colors, Lewis? Because part of me thinks that they're absolutely hideous.
Yeah.
Part of you, just part of you. What about the other part?
Part of me thinks that when they come out, I'm actually really going to like them. But, and the other thing is, and you mentioned this, is we don't actually know if these colors are going to be accurate. This is just something that Prosser decided to do, maybe based on some inside information he may have, but this could change. So with the picture that you're looking at here, by no means is the final product that you will see on the shelf. Also, the other thing is, I feel like when you make a product a specific color, it kind of implies that it's not a professional product and it's not a powerful product or a product that you would actually want to use for productivity. Is it just me? Because I feel like if you want to have silver, black, or some other muted tone, maybe like space gray or something, that says pro or something that you would actually use to get to accomplish some kind of business objective. But when you get bright pink, it's like, it kind of feels like a toy.
I could totally see people going crazy for these. I mean, we do all these setups posts on the site, right? People who spend all this time and effort making their workspace look exactly how they want it to look. And, very customized, very personalized. Why wouldn't people want to, or why shouldn't Apple offer different color options? I mean, personally, I'd rather see like a product red one. That would be sweet.
Dude, you are really big on red. You love red.
I love that metallic red thing. It looks like Iron Man. Now the like the green of the the iPad Air and the pink or rose gold or whatever it is, and the blue, they're also kind of pastel-y that it doesn't it doesn't float my boat. But I think they look cool. And I'm sure, think about all the people working from home right now. Think about people who are sitting there going, yeah, I've got this iMac from, 8 years ago, and it's getting kind of slow, and now Apple comes out with one with the latest, greatest chip. It's 1,000,000 times faster. Hey, why don't I get one that's actually fun? Don't you think people are kind of in the mood for a little bit of fun right about now?
You might be right about that. Yeah, you might be right about that. Yeah, right.
It's funny they use muted colors, but I guess you can't get poppy colors, can you, with anodized aluminum? You can't get them really bright. Because I remember when when I interviewed Doug Sasker, one of the former designers, he said that when Apple did the original iMac, they did it in Bondi blue, which is that kind of, greenish blue tint.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately Jobs said that, this is great, but we've done the wrong color because it was a sort of muted color. And that's why they came out with the 5 sort of fruity looking ones that were really bright red, bright blue. I can't remember the other ones, but, they were bright green, pop colors.
Purple.
Yeah. And then, of course, they did some crazier ones. They did like Dalmatian and then Flower Power. They had the weird cloud one. So they really went crazy towards the end. I can't see them doing that with these ones. Can you see a Flower Power, flat screen iMac?
Not in my living room or in my home. Yeah.
The thing is, like, just saying, like, oh, well, it's not that professional looking or whatever, right? I mean, these are for everyone, and if you're, some, super nervous dentist who wants to have the nothing but the finest, most professional looking front desk, go ahead and get the silver or gray or whatever,
Man, that's what you don't want as a super nervous dentist. That's the one dentist you don't want to go to. I want the super calm, relaxed dentist.
Yeah, nervous is not a good thing. You're right.
Are you ready?
So when does he think these are going to ship? But there's supposed to be an event in March, right?
Yeah.
But that's not tip for the iMacs. That's AirTags and iPad Pro.
Yeah, and I think everything we've heard about the iMacs is like second half of the year. But
too bad. I'm dying to get it. Like you said, I mean, I'm working on an old iMac here. I've had it for I think it's 2014. Yeah, 2014. I mean, it's a great machine. I love this computer, but it's getting a bit old in the tooth now. I'd love to replace it with an M1. Oh my.
Oh yeah, imagine
M
that.
series.
I mean, especially an M series iMac, because all we've seen thus far is M1s that are built for portability and energy efficiency. But the first one they put in an actual machine that doesn't need to rely on battery power, oh my gosh, it's going to be an absolute monster. It is going to be a monster. So look, Level Remix from the chat is asking MacBook Pro or iMac. This is a great question. This is a question that I have been wrestling with as well. Every night I stay awake for 6 to 7 minutes thinking about this question. Then I go to bed. It doesn't bother me that much, but I do think about it. Because here's the thing. The MacBook Pros, they're so expensive. They command such a premium for that portability factor. And they're not as powerful, clearly, as the iMacs. So, I don't know. Portability versus pure sheer power. I think for me, if they were to release a MacBook Pro and an iMac at the same time, I would probably go with the iMac at this point because the power is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to have like the flux capacitor in the back, just like glowing, and you're going to need 1.2 gigawatts to actually make that thing run. What about you, Lewis? Portable or iMac?
I mean, I've always been using a laptop just because there are times where you need to go places, but not so much right now.
Right?
Well, I mean, it's a big screen. The 5K screen is really the big advantage, isn't it? The iMac, that big, beautiful screen. It's so expansive, and you kind of get that if you can plug your MacBook into a bigger screen, an external monitor. I don't think you lose much in performance, really, do you? With the current generation. But who knows what's going to happen, like you said, when they have the new chips in there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be the exciting part for sure. So we'll have to see what happens. I know for me, if I end up getting an iMac, I'm not getting pink, I'm not getting blue, and I'm not doing that weird green that they put on the AirPods Max. I'm going with either silver or at this point probably space gray. But it's not just the iMacs that...
Wow, daring.
I know, daring, dashing.
Very bold.
And bold.
The blue, I bet the blue would look hot.
I'm going to leave that for my nervous dentist. I'm going to go with something that is a little bit more muted. And like I said, I don't know. It feels like machines that are brightly colored are not professional grade. So it makes it feel more like a toy to me. And
that's what they've been saying about Apple's computers, going back to the original iMac. They said it was a Fisher Price toy. Remember that insult? That's always been the knock on it.
Well, it's like the iPhone 5C. They made them all those bright, bold colors, and then immediately thereafter, the whole line tanked and no one wanted to buy it, even though they were charging like virtually no money for it. So they were also made out of plastic, so there was that as well.
Yeah. Well, these are like these are sort of consumer machines, aren't they? Consumer desktops. The iMac. It's not. I mean, I'm sure the iMac Pro, if they come out with a newer version of that, that's going to be black. Stealth.
Oh yeah. Which, by the way, that machine is in need of an upgrade as well. Holy moly! I mean, the iMac Pro I think got released in December of 2019. It might even be 2018. I'd have to go look it up, but it is ancient. It has been forever since they have updated that machine.
A couple of years, yeah. I was so tempted to get
at least.
One because they were selling refurb ones on eBay for quite a lot of money off. I can't remember what the discount was. It was so, like if they hadn't, I mean, it's crazy to buy one now, isn't it? Because of the new M series chips. But that was so tempting to get a refurb one of those. So nice.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this on the show. I believe that, well, this is my hypothesis that Apple was liquidating their retail units via this vendor on eBay who was selling them as refurbished, but the machines were essentially brand new, and the price is super discounted because an iMac Pro is, $5,000 brand new, but they were selling those same machines on eBay for $3,500. And that's Apple's strategy. They liquidate their excessive stock via vendors like B&H, like Adorama. They don't want to sell their stock for a lower price, but they'll let another vendor do it. And I think that's what Apple was doing with the iMac Pros. Check this out. So the iMac Pro release date, let's see here, December 14th, 2017.
Oh, really? That long ago?
Yeah,
Wow.
so we're getting close to, 3.5 years now since that machine has been updated. So, yeah, it's definitely, we must have a update right around the corner. Now, look, several people in the chat have made comments about the tightness of my jacket. Don't worry. These guys. Hold on, wait. You guys want to see something? Hold on.
Oh, no.
I'm going to try not to injure the camera. Ready? Do you see that?
Oh, my God, this Incredible Hulk.
Dude, these pecs, they can't be contained. I'm like Terry Crews. I try not to bounce them during the show because I don't want to shoot a button off and break my window here or the camera or the computer. You don't know what's going to happen. So that one goes out to Javier. Yeah, you're right. It is dangerous, and you should be worried. Okay, let's move on here to our next story. We got to talk about the Mac Pro Mini, or the Mac Mini Pro, as I'm hoping. Go ahead and take us away, Leander, on this one.
John Prosser again, our old friend John. This is with a new render based upon some information that he says he got about Apple's forthcoming Mac Pro Mini, which he shows off in his latest front page tech video, and along with the news, with the multiple colors for the new iMac. So he describes this new headless Mac Pro workstation as being equivalent to, quote, 3 to 4 Mac Minis stacked on top of each other. And Prosser claims it will look very similar to Apple's stunning but ultimately ill-fated Power Mac G4 Cube. So yeah, it looks pretty hot. It's very reminiscent of the recent report by Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. Gurman says that Apple has 2 new Mac Pro devices in the works. One will be an update of the, quote, cheese grater 2019 Mac Pro, boasting either Apple Silicon or Intel chips. What? The other could be shrink down significantly, and Gurman suggested will boast a mostly aluminum exterior similar to the G4 Cube. This second model appears to be the one Prosser is talking about. So it looks like they're going to have a full-size Mac Pro and then a Mac Pro Mini. And the renders I thought looked really good. I mean, it looks that Cube design. It's a winner. Although, in terms of looks, not a winner in terms of functionality. In fact, it's a complete.
I was just gonna say. It failed horribly, miserably, right?
Yeah,
and now they're going for round 2.
Right, I know. Yeah, I wonder why they haven't learned any of their lessons. I mean, because Pro users want expandability, don't they? And the ability to easily add like internal components. And that was what the Cube never did. You could never really expand it. You got what you got, and it was kind of underpowered and overpriced.
So now this is why part of me thinks that this is going to end up being a Mac Mini Pro and not a Mac Pro Mini. Now, that's just my intuition. I could be totally wrong. In fact, I probably am totally wrong. But the Mac Pro, the whole premise of that machine was expandability. You put in the parts, and then you get it, and you can change stuff out. You can add PCIe cards and stuff. So this is going to be a Mac Pro Mini, isn't this kind of the antithesis of why you would want a Mac Pro? Is it's going to be more like an iMac, which if it's going to be like an iMac and nothing's going to be actually user replaceable, then wouldn't this just be a Mac Mini? It seems, I mean, it's the same shape as a Mac Mini. Well, according to this render, according to what John Prosser said, which I bet this is going to be the approximate form factor that we end up seeing. It may not look exactly like this, but the form factor is probably close. So it seems to me like it's more reminiscent of a Mac Mini Pro, which I think would be a really compelling machine. What if you could buy a headless horseman Mac and spend base price $2,000 on it, maybe $3,000 well equipped, but it has an insane amount of power. It's more like an iMac Pro or something along those lines. That would be a really compelling machine to me, and I think to a lot of developers as well, and someone who just needs a really powerful Mac for editing and stuff but doesn't care. I would love to have an iMac with a screen, but I also wouldn't mind just having my screen and not having some super high quality Apple display, because you can get a lot of high quality displays on the market. But alas, if Gurman's saying this is going to be a Mac Pro, then this is probably going to be a Mac Pro, don't you think? It's not going to end up being a Mac Mini Pro. In any case, so we have this one on the way as well. Now, people are probably asking about release dates, and I don't think we have a release date. Was there anything in the release date or in this story with a release date? I think it's just second half of 2021, I think is what we're shooting for this. So I'm trying to look on the fly.
Seems to be the general
consensus
time frame for all these things.
All right, so there's the Mac Mini or the Mac Pro Mini. Hopefully Mac Mini Pro. Let's talk about MacBook Pros, because we got another story out this week, talking about MacBook Pro. And this was very exciting news. Can I bring up this story so I can show it in full-on browser mode while I'm talking about it? Why didn't I bring it up before? Here we go. Okay, so you may have saw the story. Several people tweeted me about the story. HDMI port and SD card reader supposedly returning to the MacBook Pro, later this year. This comes from analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. He says he expects a 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro to launch in the second half of this year. From the sound of things, Apple is going back to the past for its next generation MacBook Pro, and depending on who you ask, that could be a very good thing. I think it's a very good thing if you ask me. So the next MacBook Pro is already rumored to bring back the MagSafe. If you haven't heard this, you're going to be very excited to hear this. This is like the 2015 MacBook Pro reborn. Bring back MagSafe, kill off the touch bar in favor of a row of physical keys. In a note to clients, Kuo says this year's Pro laptop will come with a built-in SD card reader and a HDMI port. You know, the HDMI port is kind of a curious one. I've never really used a HDMI port, and I haven't heard anyone clamoring for that.
Isn't it good for presentations, plugging in a projector or a big screen TV?
Yeah, I guess. I've never used a MacBook Pro for doing that kind of stuff, so I just wonder how popular that actually is. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, like, with AirPlay now, most of what, when I used to want to play a movie off my machine, you plug it in to the TV, but now you can do it with AirPlay, and I suspect a lot of people do that, so I don't know. It is a bit of a puzzler, isn't it?
I guess it would be kind of convenient just to plug in your MacBook Pro to a TV via HDMI, because all TVs have HDMI, but not all TVs have AirPlay. So he goes on to say that we're going to get a bunch of other new features. So check this out. Brighter mini LED display. So this is a whole next generation of display technology. Apple Silicon, okay. A new flat design with a rounded or flat edge top and bottom, so reminiscent of the iPad Pro. An HDMI port, a built-in SD card reader, which I've been clamoring for years. MagSafe, which I mentioned, and physical keys instead of a touch bar. It's interesting that we're getting all of these potential features now, and I wonder if this has something to do with Johnny Ive's departure. And rather than going after thinner and lighter machines, they're actually willing to make things thicker now, give things better battery life, and bring back some practical ports, which maybe this is because Phil Schiller has departed, and he famously said that an SD card slot was not a Pro port, which is absolutely crazy to me, mind-boggling that he didn't think so. But this would be a dream machine for me. It'd be like driving down the road in a convertible, wind through my hair, deep V-neck, wind hitting my body. That kind of deep satisfaction. Having a computer like this with all of the ports that I actually need, barring USB-A, that's the one. I've got hope for USB-A. They didn't mention that here, but I wouldn't mind if they added a couple of those on the machine. This would be an absolutely beautiful machine to have, and you wouldn't have to carry around dongles anymore. For me, I'd be dongle free, and I've been trying to get dongle free since 2018 when I bought my MacBook Pro. But there you have it. So second half of this year, we are expecting some serious Mac upgrades, and all these machines are going to be tweaked just the way I personally was hoping. And with the Apple Silicon, that's the one thing that we don't really know. We can't really tell at this point how powerful those machines are actually going to be, but if we extrapolate from the information we have for the MacBook Air and the Mac Mini and how powerful those M1 chips are, the MacBook Pro and the iMac are going to have the powerful versions of those chips. So they're going to be absolute destroyers. They're going to be like Thanos level chips, if I could use a Marvel analogy. So there you have it. Those are all the new Macs. And if you have a Mac, Leander is now going to tell us about Silver Sparrow, which I had never even heard of until 15 to 20 minutes ago. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we should care about it, but Leander's going to tell us all that stuff.
Freaked out.
Is it going to freak me out?
I said, prepare to be freaked out.
Yeah, that's kind of freaky. It's some new malware that's been spreading on the new M1 Max. It's been optimized for M1 Max. It also works on Intel Macs, but it's been apparently optimized for the M series Macs. And it's a weird one. It's a very strange little virus. It's been spreading, and the estimates, I think it was infected about 30,000 machines, which is a lot of machines, but it doesn't have any payload. It doesn't do anything so far. It just dials in. It's using Amazon's AWS and some other cloud service as a sort of back end, and it dials in on the hour or every hour. It'll check for some instructions, for some code, but none has been delivered. And Apple may have already rendered it impotent by putting it on some kind of what is it, Lewis? No-fly list. Some Apple's like they decertified it, or the vendor or something like that. So
removed or revoked the developer accounts of the people associated with it. But
yeah,
so there's something else that I'm not sure about. I hadn't heard this about. I mean, I can understand how that would keep it from getting out further, but what are they doing to get it off of computers?
Yeah, who knows? So anyway, but you can. We have a tutorial on the site that Ed wrote a couple of days ago that shows you how to check, and it's not super easy. You have to go digging around in a whole bunch of system files to look for certain files on your hard drive, and so we have these detailed instructions about how to do this to find out if you've actually been affected by this new piece of weird malware.
All right, so we'll link to this in the show notes if you want to check it out and look at it for no other reason other than this beautiful picture of a sparrow at the very top. Look at that little guy. Look how happy he is in the woods all by himself. And then there's a full write-up on Silver Sparrow, how to identify it, how to get rid of it. Did I take that too far? What to do about
I
it?
don't think it says how to get rid of it, does it?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you how to get rid of it. You just throw your
Remove
Mac
those files
into the garbage and buy a new one. And then you go like this in satisfaction, and you move on with your life.
I knew a guy who worked for IT for a school here, a college in San Francisco, and he said that they had hundreds of their computers were infected with the virus over the weekend, and they tossed all the machines, or they tossed all the hard drives.
Are you serious?
What?
Yeah, you could believe it.
That's hilarious. All right, well, there you go. That's how to tell if Silver Sparrow is hiding out on your machine. And you should be scared, and we'll give you the instructions that you need to get rid of it. Let's talk about Spotify next. This is our final story. Oh, before we do that, holy moly, just a quick shout. I forgot to mention, look, if you are a original Cultcast listener, so I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the show, and Leander, you may not actually know this. Today is the start of this episode is the beginning of our 8th year doing this. Can you believe that?
Wow.
His reaction, oh dear.
Oh dear.
Wasn't the
8
reaction
years,
I was
really?
looking for.
Oh, good
8
golly.
years. So I think our initial maiden episode launched on February 24th, if I remember correctly. And I guess it was probably 2013 was when we first
Really? Wow.
got this thing going. And so we're still kicking it. We're still doing it. We're growing. We're getting better. And I always joke, I'm not sure if the show is getting better or worse. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. But if you are an original listener, I just want to say I'm so appreciative to have you guys here. We have people here who have been listening the entire time. And I just think about how different life was 8 years ago. And the one thing that some of us have in common is that this show has been, being put out for that entire time. They've been listening to it. Well, I found a little artifact that you guys might be interested in. So for those of you that have been listening a long time, you know that Leander and I got connected with this little t-shirt company that I used to run called Might Tees, and we created like this whole line of Apple-inspired shirts that Cultimac wrote about, and then Leander and I got talking, and then I started writing for Cultimac, and then we ended up doing the podcast and stuff, but I closed down Might Tees ages ago, and when I was going through some of my storage, I found one single solitary box, unopened box of Might Tees t-shirts. These are what started it all. So we have a Steve Jobs Say Anything t-shirt listed on cultcloth.co. And if you would like to snag yourself a little artifact from the history of this show, I have made these available for sale. We have a limited amount of them left. I'm not actually sure. We might have like 25 or 30. And once these are gone, they are gone forever. So if you want to get yourself a really cool Mac-inspired shirt and support the show and also get yourself a little Cultcast artifact that is the precursor to the Cultcast. This is what started it, this entire thing. It's on the website. You can get them for a fair price, and they're really super high-quality t-shirts. And this is it. Once these are gone, that will be it. You can go to cultcloth.co to snag yourself one of these t-shirts if you are so interested. Okay, let's talk about... Oh, shoot, why did I go back? Let's go back to browser mode. Let's talk about Spotify. I put a little video out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/AirfunElijah, a little while ago about Airpods Max. And I did a test comparing the fidelity of the audio of Airpods Max on Apple Music and Spotify. Now, it was kind of a whim that I even did this test, and I was kind of disappointed using Spotify's audio with AirPods Max because I just felt like the AirPods Max for the price tag, they weren't really giving me that sparkly, beautiful level of audio that I had come to expect from Apple Music products, like with the HomePods are out of this world beautiful. But the AirPods Max, I just felt like there's something left to be desired. So I did a test, and I listened to the AirPods Max on Spotify and on Apple Music. I was stunned by the results. Apple Music sounds so much better than Spotify. At least to me, it was not even close. It was a night and day difference. And that's because Apple uses the AAC codec, and even though it's encoded at a lower bit rate than Spotify, it still sounds tremendously better. Tremendous! So, I predicted at that time that the AirPods Max were too good to be left with this low-quality bitrate. You really need to have something really high quality to make them shine. And then they truly will give you the audio that you might be expecting from a $550 pair of headphones. So, breaking news this week, Spotify has announced that they're going to be bringing CD quality audio to select markets this year. This is something that I think they teased maybe last year sometime. I guess in 2017, they offered a CD quality audio to certain users in the United States for an additional $7.50 a month. Now, Spotify hasn't, I know it's a big premium. Spotify hasn't revealed yet how much their HiFi service is going to cost ahead of their launch. They're focusing on the fact that it delivers lossless CD quality music, direct to you. Now, if you're wondering what the difference in bitrate is going to be, Spotify, their current maximum audio bitrate is 320 kilobits per second, which is very high. But the rate for lossless can be dramatically higher, around like 1400 kilobits per second. So, a extreme level higher. Now, why am I talking about this? I think this is the beginning of Apple launching their own service. Apple Music cannot let Spotify launch a lossless version of Spotify and then not meet that in the marketplace. They're going to have to launch their own lossless music version, and I bet their version will sound even better than Spotify's. Plus, here's a strange thing about the AirPods Max that you may never have heard, and that is they don't work like normal headphones where the audio is being streamed from your iPhone directly to your AirPods Max. They actually will take the raw digital signal from your AirPods or from your iPhone or from your streaming source and then encode it on the AirPods Max themselves. So they end up sounding better because of the computational magic that happens on the AirPods Max. So when you use Apple Music, you get that digital source being sent to your AirPods Max. I don't think that happens when you're using Spotify, right? Because of the hardware software integration. So this is really exciting. If you have AirPods Max or you are interested in AirPods Max or you have HomePods, if Apple launches their own lossless service, which I believe they're going to do, you're going to have drastically better sounding music. What does this mean in real world listening experiences? Let's just say you're a big Kenny G fan, like one of us here is. I'm not going to say who it is, but he likes to play darts. He likes to listen to Kenny G while he plays darts. And he's also...
That is libel.
He's also on the screen right now. Huge Kenny G fan, right? So when you're playing that that sweet Kenny G solo in a compressed format, all of the breath sounds, all the nuance that happens around the music, that liveliness, it gets compressed out. And all you hear is like the actual sax sound. But in a lossless file, in lossless formats, you hear the broad range of accompanying noises, that warmth, that surrounding noise, that echo, that reverberance. Those are the things you end up hearing. And I think it makes an absolutely night and day difference in the quality of your music. Now, if you just hang on one sec, we've got somebody in the chat who is just spamming the entire chat. And I'm trying to get rid of this guy. Do we have any mods in the chat? Zach Hicks, are you here? I want to add someone and make them a moderator.
Whoa.
And we're gonna boot this guy out of the chat because I see him just spamming the chat. I just happened to see it. So Jack Weller, if you're here, I'm making you a moderator. And will you boot this guy out of the chat? I don't know who it is, but he's not being very nice.
El Kahaney?
Not me.
Shop at the Colton Max store.
Yeah.
Shop at the Colton
Yeah,
Max
so I
store.
apologize to everyone who's in the chat having to tolerate this not nice person. I don't want to get us demonetized, so I'll leave it at that.
I'm a bit skeptical about this whole thing. Like if you can actually hear the difference. Like isn't AAC, isn't it so good that you can barely hear the difference between that and lossless?
Well, I'd have to do tests to give you a definitive answer on that. But what I will tell you is the difference between AAC, which is what Apple uses, and MP3, Ogg Vorbis, which is what Spotify uses, I think is a night and day difference. It took the musicality of the AirPods Max to an entirely different level. And I thought there was a problem with the hardware. And then I realized, it's actually not the hardware at all. It's the music streaming service itself. And if you think about this, it would be like if you bought a Ferrari and then you put unleaded gasoline in it. You can't do that. It's a mismatch, right? Like that car
well,
is expecting a certain level of octane, and if you don't give it what it needs, it's going to run poorly. And that's the same with your AirPods Max.
What file format do CDs use? Do you know what the actual file format is?
I don't know.
God.
On a CD, isn't it WAV? WAV is an ultra-high lossless codec. So I think it might be WAV.
I remember making all these decisions when like years ago when you had to rip your CDs, you remember to get them on your iPod and you'd use some ripper pro. Oh, actually iTunes. Didn't it used to ask you like what kind of level it wanted you to rip them at and make all these like decisions.
All these decisions.
You had no idea what to choose. Actually, I don't remember that. It wasn't that bad. I think the defaults were pretty good, weren't they? But I don't know. Like I'm kind of skeptical. I think AAC is, like I don't know. Can you really hear the difference between that and non-compressed audio? It sounds like those, all those audiophiles you see online who argue about buying, $100 gold-plated wires for their speakers, which I just like. I don't see how that makes any difference at all. I think you're being sold, something you don't need.
Hold on a sec. Now you're going to tell me that my $450 Monster HDMI cables don't deliver the digital signal better than the Walmart, $450 brand. And I just don't believe that, which is why I only use the Monster. Plus, it makes me feel good knowing that we're getting that guy more gold spinners for his Segway.
Segway, right.
Let us just tell you a little story before we wrap up here. The owner of Monster Brand, what's his name, Leander?
Lee.
Lee something.
No, his last name's Lee. What's his first name? It's eluding me.
Yeah, okay, me too. But the guy is the blingiest CEO in America today. So I don't know. He has maybe some kind of like leg impediment or something. He can't walk, so he rides around on a Segway, like a blinged out Segway. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Leander, I believe the Segway has spinners on it, right? So when he stops moving, the wheels keep churning. That is where all those beautiful monster profits that you guys are giving to that company, that's where they're all going to. They're going to that founder, that CEO's golden spinning Segway wheels. What was that, Leander?
Noli.
God bless Noli. He also throws great
GIF.
parties. Sorry, go ahead. What?
I found a picture of that Segway. I just wish it was a GIF so I could see the spinners in action.
Yeah, well, we got to get some. We got to look for these on Google because they really were a force to be reckoned with. That and having parties with Alicia Keys and Stevie Wonder and all the most popular musicians in the world, right, at those monster parties that we used to go to, like no expenses spared. Open bar for like hundreds, if not thousands of people. We saw Fleetwood Mac there. I mean, like the cream of the crop, best bands in the world are all playing at the monster party at CES because of those $450 HDMI cables that you all are buying. Not you all. I mean, clearly our listeners and watchers are too sophisticated to fall for that. Golden HDMI cable, which delivers a digital signal. So really, I don't think it matters if the connectors are gold or silver or made out of recycled tin, as long as the digital signal gets there. It's not like an analog signal. I do think there's a point of diminishing returns with some of these audiophile guys where you're probably right. They're spending all this money on gold connectors and they think that they're perceiving some kind of difference when in reality, they're not. It's just them spending more money on gear that they don't need. But I would be surprised if you didn't hear a significant real difference between lossless and AAC. Even though AAC is very, very good, excellent, probably the best codec that I've heard as far as compressed music goes, I still think lossless is going to be a whole level above that. It's like looking at a raw image versus a JPEG. There's just going to be way more information there, or 8K versus HD. There's just a lot more information there to deal with and to work with. Okay.
Well, Apple already has a lossless codec already, don't they?
I believe so. I think they have a lossless version of AAC actually, but
yeah, I just looked it up. It's called Apple Lossless.
Okay. And what do they use it for?
It's known as ALAC, Apple Lossless Audio Codec.
And does it say like what services actually get that or use that codec?
I don't know where it's used. Doesn't say here.
Sony in the chat
Oh
saying
my
gold-plated
God.
fiber line. That's what you want. That's what you need. If you want faster internet, that's the problem. You need to go to your ISP and say, I need a gold-plated fiber line so the light can bounce more efficiently through that glass fiber. It needs to be gold on the outside. That's the key to having the faster speed. All right, guys. I think we should go ahead and wrap it up there because we're totally, we're out of stuff here. And we've been streaming now for, I think we've been live for a shorter amount of time than we've been streaming. But that's enough. Lander's got to get to his lunch. So let's go ahead.
Yeah. Let's
Crank
go.
up the music. That's all the cult cast we have for you guys this week. Shout out to Jack Weller for taking care of the trash, taking care of the business in there. He kicked those guys out. Oh, I just chipped my tooth on my microphone. There we go. All right. That's all the cult cast we have for you guys this week. But if you want to come say hi, we're all on Twitter. I'm at Erfon, ERFON. Leander is at El Caney. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the cult cast, the best 30+ minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the cult cast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening. Thank everyone for watching live. And we will see you guys next time. There we go. What's for lunch, Leander?
Salad.
Salad?
Trader Joe's salad. I went this morning, got a couple of Trader Joe's salads.
Trader Joe's salads. No poke bowls?
I can't have poke bowls. No,
Huh?
I can't eat them anymore. In fact, I find them
What?
disgusting and revolting.
What?
What?
How can you do a U-turn on the Poke Bowl?
Because I fucking ate it every goddamn day for about, 8 months or a year, and now I just can't abide it anymore. That's what
They're
happened.
dead to you
Probably
now.
have heavy mercury poisoning.
Yeah.
That I got mercury poisoning and almost died, so that kind of soured me too.
Irfan, I can give you a referral for a nervous dentist for that chipped tooth.
Yeah, thanks. Does his hand shake? Hold still.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording. Yeah.
All right, stop the recordings. Stop them.
So Noel Lear said that he got radiation poisoning.
Oh
That's
no.
why he can't walk.
What? That's what?
Poke
Is it-
Bowls.
His first job out of school was at Lawrence Livermore Labs.